Let's go ahead and get going. All right, so what we're going to be talking today is not leaving chips on the table. I'm a Texas boy, can't play poker with the darn, but I do like the idea of Texas Hold'em, and it's kind of fun. But we have heard over the last couple days, this morning and yesterday, we've heard all this great stuff about things that are coming out. We've heard about Longhorn, we've heard some about Office 12, we've heard different stuff about SharePoint. We've heard great programs that marketing is going to be rolling out, that the MS Learning is going to be rolling out, all this wonderful stuff. But the one thing I want us to make sure we don't forget is there's money to be made right now. When you leave tomorrow, I want you to make money. Do y'all want to make money tomorrow? I want to make money tomorrow. I hope you want to make money tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. All right, so let's move on. Now, if you have any questions for my presentation, the first and best place to go to, of course, is your account manager, who's going to say, I don't even know what the heck he was talking about. But if the account manager isn't able to answer your question for you, there's my email address, stevewynn@microsoft.com. Unless you don't like my presentation, then that's not it. That's a typo. So they also told me I needed to have an agenda because, hey, this is an official closing. So here's my agenda for today. It may not be the best agenda in the world, but I think it fits. All right? So, thank you. Now, at the end, my wife tells me I need to add a point onto this agenda. She says, you need to have something in there about don't say anything stupid. My wife knows me very, very well. So we'll just see. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to point out ways that you can make money with existing customers, or you can make additional money by going and selling those customers that are on the fence. That's what this whole message is about. I'm not necessarily saying go out and sell lots of new products, even though I would love for you to do that, all right? But what I'm saying is you've sold stuff to customers already. I'm going to show you ways you can go make more money on services revenue, and in the process, you're going to be laying that foundation for R2, which comes out this fall. You're going to lay the foundation for Office 12. You're going to be laying the foundation for Longhorn. It's going to be some great stuff. So let's cruise along. Staying connected, there are two things we're going to be talking about here, RPC over HTTP and remote web workplace. And I talk very fast. I am a Texas boy, by the way. I will say y'all were the best of them. But I do talk fast when I do my presentations for one reason. Well, I've got to hurry. But the other reason is it's great information, and I'm so excited about the technology. The technology is really cool when it gets embraced. Now, I'm not going to have enough time to really explain how you would utilize the technology in all sorts of different situations and environments. So what I want you to be doing is I'm going through and talking about this. Don't be talking to your friends or looking at how you can get an earlier flight out. I want you to be thinking of your clients that you have right now. How can you use this technology in those environments? So let's move on. RPC over HTTP. Can you tell this was named by techies? That is not a friendly name at all. There are marketing people all over the room going, all right? RPC over HTTP. What this is a way that you can get your email anywhere in the world with basic internet connectivity through Outlook. And I'm not talking OWA. What's the problem with OWA? When you log off, where's your email? On the server still. RPC over HTTP allows you to log in with your Outlook, open it up, it connects to your Exchange server securely, and then downloads everything to your machine over a basic internet connection, which means you're not having to do VPN. From a security standpoint, why is that a good thing? Do you want to open a VPN up to everybody just so they can get their email? No, not a good security thing at all. Give them exactly what they need to get the information that they need. So RPC over HTTP. And this is just a quick example. Here's a thing. This is actually my machine. I don't remember when I had it. I had it at 1:35 a.m. I work late, Margot. All right? I want that noted. 1:35. I see you on, though, late night, too, sometimes. All right, so TCP/IP. So that means I'm VPN'd in at this point. All right? And so when I disconnect from the VPN, what happens is without me doing anything else, just because I have basic internet connection, what you see is it starts coming back in, connecting through HTTPS, so secure HTTP. So again, without me doing anything, I've connected back in through basic internet connectivity. So I could be at Starbucks, or I could be at an airport, and just with basic internet access, I've got my mail, and I can travel with me. Now, Remote Web Workplace is another cool thing. Now, Remote Web Workplace is a feature only in SBS, all right? Only in Small Business Server. We've had people all over the place say, well, gosh, I wish we could have this in Server. Well, you can't. It's only for SBS. It's a feature. Now what it does, and you don't have to leave the comfort of home. This is a good thing for your customer and for you. What you do here is you log on to a place, and y'all probably can't read it, but it's, you know, the URL/remote. So just like you would go to OWA, it would just be URL/remote. When you get here, it's form-based authentication, which is a higher level of security. All right? On the back end of this security is the same level of security as we do for OWA in most e-commerce sites. All right? So it's very secure. So once you log in, you get this. This is what the end user gets. They can read their email. They can go through. They can actually connect to their XP machine at work through remote desktop. All right? Through basic internet connectivity. Again, this is basic internet connectivity. No VPN. Basic internet connectivity. They're able to connect into URL/remote. They can read their OWA. They can connect to their computer. They can connect to their company's internal SharePoint site. If they do need to VPN for some reason, they can download the connection manager that allows one-click VPN. Very nice technology. Now, if you're an administrator, and this is what most of y'all would really like, look what you get if you're an administrator. So you've sold SBS to a company, you have a remote web workplace, you can now say to the company, hey, I will do remote support for you at a discounted charge. So I'm not having to make all that travel time, you know, back and forth. I can connect to the different servers in the environment. I can connect to the different clients in the environment, monitor a built-in help desk, all very nice, very easy. And like I said, you don't even have, this is used by our corporate executives. Steve Ballmer uses this. All right? It can't be all bad if he uses it. All right, moving on. Staying secure. Now, I know a lot of times, see, I picked on him. He's not here. I hope. Steve? My smart card just died. All right, so staying secure. And I know a lot of times people laugh. Microsoft and security, isn't that kind of an oxymoron? No, you're a moron. All right, it's Microsoft is very secure if done right. That's everyone say it with me. Ready? If done right. In fact, Forrester in February, March, I forget what it was, 2003, right after SQL Blaster came out. We all like to forget that, I know. But when SQL Blaster came out, Forrester was doing a study saying, they did a little report saying, Microsoft, you stink. Puh. And they were griping at us because there were so many different ways you can patch your products, Microsoft. You don't make it easy, and they're going on and on and on. But in the process of going on and on and on, they threw out a stat that floored me. They said 95% of security issues with Microsoft products could have been avoided with proper installation and proper administration. 95% of things had been done right. Now, whose fault is that? That's our fault. Because we didn't make it easy for you guys. I know that y'all don't just live, eat, and breathe Microsoft. I wish you did, but I know you don't. If you live in the real world. All right? So you have to worry about everybody else. So what we've started doing is making things easier for you. And we've done it with these three things. So let's look at IMF first, Intelligent Message Filter. This sits on top of Exchange 2003 and gets extra benefits when running against Outlook 2003. You have spam issues in your environment, this will help take care of spam issues. It actually goes through, check this at the bottom, Smart Screen technology, heuristically, which means it learns as it goes, heuristically based on 500,000 email characteristics. The really smart dudes at Microsoft, not me, went through and figured this stuff out. They analyzed all this email and figured out this stuff works. Will it get rid of all the spam? No. But will it help? Yeah, it will. Very much so. Moving on. VPN quarantine. How many? I can't really. I'll raise. How many? Raise your hands if you've heard of VPN quarantine. Like I can see, a number of y'all. If you've sold, how many of y'all have sold Server 2003, or have Server 2003 in your environment? You have VPN quarantine. You just don't know about it. What VPN quarantine allows you to do, and this is some cool technology. So when somebody goes to check in, and this is my connection at Microsoft that I just did the other day. So now I'm going to connect in. I simply click on the connect button. It starts connecting out securely, validating my password. And when it validates my password, it puts me in quarantine. Now I blurred that out because I don't know how Microsoft would like me showing our, some of our sites. So it blurs out. But what it does is it puts me into a temporary holding area while it checks to make sure my machine has proper virus signatures, make sure that I'm patched properly, I have the service packs, hotfixes, anything Microsoft wants me to have, it's making sure right now for security reasons. And guess what? If I don't have it, it says, you stink. And it will push me over into a quarantine network where I can download what I need. That's cool technology. That's available right now in Server 2003. And in R2 that's coming out in the fall, we're going to improve upon it even more. So at Microsoft, when we do get through, here it is in quarantine, you have limited corporate network access. It's figuring everything else out for us. And finally, it'll let me in. Very neat. Now, Security Configuration Wizard is another neat thing. This is something that just got released in SP1, in Server SP1. All right? So this gives you an opportunity. Everybody you've sold server to, you can go into them now. You can say, hey, let me talk to you about how I can further increase your security. How many of y'all, and I say IIS lockdown on steroids, many of y'all may not know what IIS lockdown is, so let me just spend a second talking about it. Back in 2000, we were really nice, all right? When we released Server 2000, you know what we did, right? You know why we were nice with IIS? We installed it on every dang server that was out there. And not only did we install it on every dang server, we turned on every dang feature that we could. Because we said everybody wants a web server, right? Web server's cool. And so we put it on everybody's machine. Now our thought process was actually pretty good. Our thought was, well, you know what, if they don't want it, they'll turn it off. They won't use it. Well, what's the problem with that thought process? What's the other thing we tell people? If you don't, and y'all can say it with me because you know the answer. If you don't know what it is, leave it alone. What do you say? Leave it alone. So we have these people that would go in looking, and they may not know what exactly IIS is all about, and they say, active server pages? I like active server pages. I mean, that sounds cool. I better go ahead and use it. And there's some teenage hacker in Eastern Europe going, yo, Microsoft, you rock! Hacking in on our ASP pages. All right? Drive me crazy. Now, what we did, though, is to make life easier, is we created this thing called an IIS lockdown tool. So you run this tool on your machine, and it basically locks down IIS securely. So IIS was covered. Now, that's a neat concept. How can we make it better? So what we decided to do is come out with a security configuration wizard. And this is a simple tool where I can go through and say, this server is an application server. It's a domain controller, a file server, and a middle-tier application server. And it will shut everything else down. It only does what I tell it is. That's pretty darn neat. And if I decided that I want this thing to be a print server, guess what all I have to do? Do I have to know a whole bunch? Do I have to be a security genius or Microsoft genius? No. All I have to do is go and click print server and go through next. Go through the wizard. And now it'll open up only what's needed for print server. That's pretty cool technology. And it moves on. Look at all the different roles you can have. There are over 50 different security configuration wizard roles that we have defined, and we're adding to it as we go. So neat security stuff. This is cool. I love this one. And when I talk with partners around, the techies around, really like it. Now, staying in control. Is this cool so far? Is this some good information? Do you see how you can sell this stuff today? You can go and sell this. And not only to the people who already have it, what about those people you've been talking to that haven't agreed yet to buy? Go back to them and say, hey, let me tell you a little bit more. And staying in control is another big one. The idea of staying in control is talking about your information. How do you keep up with your information? How do you make sure your information is always available? Very, very important. We've talked a couple times, and I know we talked about it some last year, and we talked about it some yesterday, but information rights management, or DRM, IRM, information rights management, or digital rights management. Very important. IRM, DRM is a function of Office 2003, and Server 2003. Now, I kind of hesitated on the Office a little bit because it does get a little bit confusing. You can create IRM documents if you're using Pro or above. You can use IRM documents if you're using anything, Office 2003. All right, so an important distinction. So I can create with Pro, I can use with anything. Now, the reason why I want to point that out is that it's very important because you don't want to go into, if you have a customer, for example, maybe you're working with a law firm, and the law firm, has, 5 lawyers and a bunch of, paralegals or whatever, and only the lawyers need to create the IRM documents. You only need to sell, obviously you want to sell all Pro, but, helping your customer out, you only really need to sell 5 Pro, and then you can sell only what the other people need. So just be aware. You don't need to oversell everything. I know I've worked with some partners with education, and they really like the IRM thing, And so they were going to buy, you know, all the teachers, all the student workstations, you know, everybody, you know, Pro, because they wanted to be able to create IRM. And then we go back and we talk, do you really want the students creating IRM? I don't think I would want the students creating IRM. And so anyway, enough of that. I just want to make sure we kind of touch base. DFS and shadow copy. So information rights management, you forwarded what? We've all had this happen before, where we send something out and afterwards we think, oops, shouldn't have sent that one. So here's an example. It's a made-up example that I stole from somebody. So Microsoft, we have this thing, you know, you can see Microsoft Confidential, do not forward under any circumstances, you know, but of course people do. Hey, don't share this with anyone. We've all had that. Hey, I've got a secret I'm going to tell you, Long, but don't tell anybody else. And of course, you know Long tells everybody. Sorry, Long. You're right there. I teach you to sit in the front. All right. I can see him. I can't see y'all. So there's a y'all out there. So anyway, lax enforcement. So what IRM enables us to do is this. So if I come in with IRM, basically when I have my email message, it comes in and we get this thing which says, hey, permission is currently restricted. And you see it doesn't even show up in the preview pane. So when I click on OK, here's my email. You know, please begin hiring freeze immediately. But you notice it says here, do not forward. Recipients can read this message but cannot forward, print, or copy content. Now, and people say, yeah, well, you can just go to File. Oh, come on, give us a break. We're not that dumb. So we click File, and you can see it's grayed out. I can't send, I can't save as, save attachments, can't save stationery, can't print preview, can't print. In fact, if I did click Reply, by default, it will not have any of the previous text, and it will send my response by default in protected mode. And whatever the same protected mode it came in, it sends it back in that same mode. With the concept being, if somebody sent me something restricted, if I reply to it, most likely that's restricted too. That should be restricted also. Now, I have people all the time say, oh, well, all you got to do is print screen. No, give us credit. We can disable print screen. If an IRM message is anywhere on the screen, anywhere, whether it's at the front or the back or the side, it doesn't matter. You will not be allowed to print screen. And we even have it in Word, so it's in Office products as well, not just Outlook, but Office products. You simply click on a little button, and it pops this up permission, lets you know who can do what. You can click more options and more options. You can tell when the document expires. Now, what expires means is basically it just can't be opened anymore. It doesn't, you know, blow up in a little cloud of smoke, you know, to the theme of Mission Impossible. It just, you know, doesn't open anymore. And you can even go through and you can say, hey, if they need additional permissions, they can email me. And you can put in the email, so that way if they need to open it up after its expiration date, they can get back in. All neat stuff. But as we talked about last year, I shouldn't have talked about this last year because Margot got the idea of how to beat the process. And sure enough, I caught her in the act. So I was very disappointed, Margot Day. But there are limitations. It is not the end-all, be-all process. So I want you to be careful when you're talking about IRM, because there are ways around it. I can do that. I can take a snapshot. I can pick up my phone and call somebody and say, you are fired. I mean, I can read it all right there. I like you, Margot. You're all right, continuing onwards. So, shadow copy restore. Somebody asked me if I was going to say dang in my presentation. Here it is. I said it 4 times. Dang, 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 dang. We've all done this before. Shadow copy restore is going to help you recover your documents when you've accidentally overwritten them. I'm an ex-English teacher, believe it or not, and I'm up here saying overwrit them. But I'm an English teacher from Texas, so I guess it's okay. Shoot. Hecky darn. All right. So what shadow copy restore does is it allows the end user to recover their deleted documents or their overwritten documents easily without any issues at all, without touching into the IT group. So let me give you an example of this. All right? So here we go. Here's my documents. I've got just a couple documents in there. I've got a reasons for raise, and of course, you know, my wife rules the roost, so I've got my shopping list. And you understand, I want to make sure you all understand, this is a real scenario. Here we are, we're at the end of the year at Microsoft. You know, we're closing in, you know, on the end of our fiscal year, and we're having to start, you know, do our planning for, you know, for next year. We're talking to our bosses about what we've done well and what we've done poorly, and why we should be getting pay raises or bonuses, or at least not get fired. And so I came up with my reasons for a raise, and I'm pretty excited about these reasons for a raise. I worked really hard and diligently on these things, and I think that they're good. And oh my gosh, you know what I did, y'all? When I was working on my list of why I should get my pay raise, my wife called me up and she told me what she wanted me to pick up from the store, and I must have saved as opposed to save as. That's a real problem. So, hey, don't worry. I don't need to call IT department. I don't need to do any of that. So let me just come in here. Let me close this down. Now on reasons for raise, I'm going to click on properties. Properties, notice there's a new tab there called previous versions. This is a function. What I'm showing you right now is a function of Server 2003 in the background. Okay, Server 2003 in the background. I've redirected my documents from my computer over to the server itself, to a shared folder on the server. All easy to set up, very, very easy to set up. And this would work against 98, ME, 2000, or 2003, or XP. It will not work against NT, which we all know what that stands for, right? NT, Neanderthal technology. All right, so any of y'all still using NT? It's okay to admit. That's right, you better not admit. We'll turn on you. Sorry. All right, moving on. So I come over here to previous versions, and I hope I got, sure enough, I've got a previous version. I can click here on view. Sure enough, my reasons for a raise are back again. Nice and easy. That's pretty cool technology. Very easy to do. How technical did I have to be to do that? All I have to do is right-click on the document, go to Properties, and then look at previous versions. Now, this was obviously kind of a facetious, you know, example. But what if this had been a 20-page RFP that was due in an hour? Would I have time to redo that 20-page RFP in an hour? No. All right? So there are real business implications. In fact, there are estimates as high as 80% from the third-party companies, Forrester, up to 80% of restores could be avoided with things like this, with this type of technology. Very, very, very easy to implement. And not only on the restore side of things, think about the business continuity side of things. What happens if I have a salesperson who has a laptop with all sorts of information, and they become disgruntled and they want to leave the company? What happens to all the data that's on their computer? Do you think I'm going to get it back? No, they're going to learn real quickly how to F-disk or format that machine. All right, I'm going to get a blank slate when it comes back. What happens if their computer gets stolen? All right, I've lost all that information. Using something like Shadow Copy Restore, what will happen is every time I dock into the machine, into my network, it will give me the shadow copies of all changes. It only does differential changes. It's not making complete copies. So if I have a 20 meg file, it's not making a 20 meg file, you know, every time it does a backup of it. All right, it's a differential snapshot. So if I go in and I change one word, it's a very small differential. All right, but at least I have all those changes. So if I lose the machine, the person gets fired, the person quits, I still have the data I need in order to stay in business. So cool stuff there. Now, distributed file system. I'm going to warn you, if you have a heart problem, if you're pregnant, you may want to be, just calm yourself. Everybody, let's real quickly go home. Ready? Home. Because you're about to see, anybody ever been to Sistine Chapel? Because you're about to see some graphics that are pretty darn close. All right, so with distributed file system, this was a hard one. Distributed file system is one of the coolest technologies that nobody uses. All right? In fact, it was actually first released in Server 2000, and so few people used it. When we came out with Server 2003, guess what we did? We said, look, we have a new feature. Which cracked me up. I love that. All right? But we're doing some neat stuff with it, and the reason why I wanted to point it in here is because we're even doing more stuff with it in R2. So start laying the groundwork now. You can sell this technology now. Now here's an example. I'm going to use my cool little pen. I could not find any great graphics anywhere that explained this, so I figured, oh shoot, I'll just make my own. I'm a pretty good artist. I mean, that's a darn nice stick figure, don't you think? He needs to even out his legs. Hold on. There we go. All right. So now here's our situation. We have end user. And maybe this end user is in, city of industry. All right. So here in California. City of industry. All right. So now in city of industry, there are 3 computers that they're trying to work with. 3 servers they're working with. San Diego, LA, and San Francisco. There are different files on each one. So we have file 1 in San Diego, file 2, file 3. What most people do right now is they simply map drives, or they have to, so maybe this is, maybe we all know this is, F drive and G drive and H drive and all is happy and good. Or they just have to remember to go to whack, SD, whack folder, whack file 1. All right, they do all this stuff. That's great. But what happens, so if they come here, it connects. Well, what happens if all of a sudden in San Diego the internet drops off? What access does he have to file 1 now? How much? None. That's a bad thing. We need file 1. So what we can use is DFS technology. Now what DFS technology does is basically it creates a fake share, and we'll call it, whack cells. And behind the scenes, so this would be actually what's called the DFS root, by the way, in case any of y'all really care. All right, so that would be a DFS root. And what it does is behind the scenes, unbeknownst to the end user, it will take the information and it shares it to all 3 servers. So even though file 1 existed originally here, it gets replicated through the FRS system over to LA and San Francisco. And so now all 3 files are on all 3 machines. So here's our user again, and oops, dang it. Here's our user again in City of Industry. He's going to connect in. He just goes to whack cells. He doesn't care. He wants his data. Now when he goes to whack cells, Active Directory says, okay, where are you closest to? Are you closer to San Francisco, San Diego, or LA? Computer says, dude, LA. And so he goes and he gets the information he needs from LA. Well, let's say LA is, I don't know, been hit by a tornado. And it goes, if somebody spilled their diet, tornadoes in LA happen. They happen in Texas, so they have to happen everywhere. All right? So that goes away. What does the end user get? The end user comes to whack cells. Active Directory says, oh, shoot, dang tornadoes. And says, what's closest? And I hope I'm right on this one. Shoots them off to San Diego. Am I right? All right, cool. All right, all right. Anyway, an English teacher, all right, English. So what's cool about this, as far as the end user is concerned, the end user still gets his information or her information, has no clue what's going on in the background. So now the IT department gets hired out. They build a new machine that's an empty machine. They call it LA2. And LA2, as soon as they put it inside this DFS root, guess what? The files will automatically copy over to the new machine. And so now this guy goes to connect again, and now he connects to his closest environment. That's pretty dang cool technology. And that's available right now. Now, I give the example in different cities, but what if you have a company that only has 1 office, but has a real need to have a high availability of data? Can you set this up in a single office? Yes, you can. It's not a failover cluster. It's the poor man's cluster, all right? Maybe they can't afford a full cluster system. Well, give them high availability of their data by setting up 2 servers right next to each other as a DFS. If one goes down for any reason, everybody gets their data from the other server. They never know that there's been any sort of outage. That is cool technology, which is even going to be made better, dang it, in R2 coming out. So let's talk about them. I'm actually going to be done early. Y'all are amazed. If you've heard me speak, I will go forever. In fact, maybe I'll just wax poetic for a little bit. No, I won't. All right. So here's some other things. So what I've talked about so far today has been ways that you can make money easily going back into places you've already sold without having to sell them new stuff. Well, some of the stuff I want to talk about here is going to involve selling them some new stuff. And we had the question, it was a great question, that someone was talking about BizTalk earlier. And y'all know there's a BizTalk is a way where you can have disparate systems connecting into each other, all right? And the problem with BizTalk is for a long time, BizTalk has been a higher enterprise solution. However, we do have a BizTalk Partner Edition now, which is a more cost-effective way of achieving this that'll work in smaller offices. Really good with HIPAA compliance, by the way, for those of you who do medical. But we also have Mom 2005 Workgroup Edition. Mom is all about how you can have, if you have multiple servers, how you can get those multiple servers to all report into one as far as issues that they're having. And like a good mom, it'll kind of look over and make sure everything's okay. And maybe server 2 is having problems in the middle of the night. Mom will actually go through, the mom server will go through and do some prescriptive troubleshooting ahead of time to try to ward off any sort of issues. And we'll let you know in the morning, hey, by the way, server 2 had error 5 and error 53 occurring every 5 minutes. So I restarted these 2 services and cleared out this log. We're good now. Mom does it all without you having to do anything. That's cool technology. SMS 2004 allows you to go through and do all sorts of neat stuff where you can push out applications, you can push out hotfixes, service packs. You can go through and even push out whole images, whole desktop OS images. We have a free download for that. It allows you to go through and look at software asset management through SMS 2004, all integrated in with Active Directory. Very nice technology that you should be looking into. Corporate IM with live communication server. I was talking with a gentleman out in the hall, but we were kind of talking around about live communication server, and he was floored. Live communication server. How many of y'all have companies that have shut off IM in their environment? Raise your hand. Anybody? A few of y'all. Y'all realize how dangerous public IM is in business environments? You realize the courts have said that IM carries the same weight as email? IM carries the same weight as email. And so businesses are going to be required to keep up. Well, that's a problem, because if I'm using MSN or I'm using Yahoo or AOL and I'm a business owner, how much control do I have over that? None. I can turn it on, I can turn it off. That's it. What Live Communication Server allows me to do is now take control. Now, this is not something that the end users are going to like, but the business owner is. Now, I can archive every IM message that comes in and out of my environment. Not only within my live communication, my internal environment, I can also connect it in with Yahoo, AOL, and MSN. That's neat technology, all right? I can even go through and I can see, I can go through and I can say, look, I only want my people to IM between the hours of 8 and 5. I don't want any IM going on after that. I have that ability to lock that down. I can go through and say, I only want my people to IM with these partners, not anybody else. I have that ability to do that. So Live Communication Server allows your customers to use a very valuable collaborative and communication tool, instant messaging, while still having the security of, peace of mind, knowing they have the ability to control what's happening. Cool technology with that. Internet Security and Acceleration Server 2004, ISA 2004. That's our new firewall process. And I get sick and tired of people saying, yeah, Microsoft, ISA. And partners I dealt with last year, you know who you are. Y'all badmouth me anytime I brought up ISA. But ISA is dang cool. Because what ISA will, and I'm saying dang a lot now, I'm getting warmed up. All right? Don't get me started, I tell you. ISA is cool. What most hardware firewalls will do, understand, most hardware firewalls will do, and let's think about snail mail, okay, regular old mail. They'll grab that letter, they'll look at the letter, say, yep, that envelope's the right size, it's sealed properly, it's got the stamp in the right place, it's got the address, it's got the return address. This is a good letter, and it'll send it on. Now, what's in that letter? Hardware firewalls don't know. ISA, application firewall, well, look at all that other stuff. Yeah, good size. Yeah, address, all that good stuff. But then it's going to pop that baby up and it's going to read it for you and go, woo-hoo-hoo, this is not getting through our firewall. And kicks it out. Or maybe it saves it to read it later. I don't know what it does. All right. But no, you can't actually configure it to pull stuff over. Applications that you don't want to come through, it'll pull over. But anyway, that's pretty darn neat. In fact, most of the viruses that are coming out now are application layer firewalls that the hardware firewalls, the inexpensive hardware firewalls, will not catch. All right, unless you do upgrades to them. ISA out of the box will do it. Windows storage server, great thing. If you have people who are using Exchange, you can actually back up your Exchange. You can have your Exchange databases over onto the Windows storage server, which is Windows Server NAS. With 64-bit upgrades are now available, which is very cool. External access to SharePoint. Did y'all know that was possible? Easy to do also. If you have SharePoint technologies, whether it's SharePoint Portal Server or Windows SharePoint Services, remember Windows SharePoint Services is included within Server 2003, all right? You can expose it to the Internet. Now, that doesn't mean you can make it unrestricted exposure. I mean, you can, but you have to pay for the Internet, I forget what the exact title, Internet Connection License for Windows SharePoint Services is like, $2,900 or something like that. But you can open it up for your users to be able to log in and authenticate. Class Server 4.0. Anybody who's dealing with education, if you're not looking at Class Server 4.0, you're missing a boat. You're missing an opportunity. Class Server 4.0 is the ability to create a framework that the school districts can put their information into, their curriculum into. Really helps with No Child Left Behind. And the bottom one is my big one. I'm gonna stop talking on this one because training through, well, almost. I got my closing slide, but I'm gonna stop talking here. It's also the last bullet. If you are selling solutions, but you are not including a training offering inside that solution, you are messing up. Because if I showed y'all how to do shadow copy restore. That was pretty cool, pretty easy. But I had to know to right click, to go to properties, to look for previous versions, and then view. I had to know to do that. Someone had to show me. So if you're not using software assurance, which has all sorts of e-learning opportunities, software assurance isn't just about, I get the next version. There's all sorts of other stuff with it. One of the key ones is training. Tons and tons of free training with software assurance, both for the IT and for the end user. Use that. MS Learning is coming out, has a complete solution for you. MS Learning includes, the MS Press books. It has a complete solutions of learnings that you can sell, that you can add into your products, so that way you give your customer the most value. If you go to your customer and say, Mr. Customer, because you couldn't remember his name, Mr. Customer, I have a great solution for you that's going to save you money, save you time. You're going to be able to retire rich and early, all because of a Microsoft solution. That's pretty cool. He buys it. You never teach him how to use it. Guess what happens next time you come in to sell him something? You can say, dude, out of here. That didn't work. You lied. All right? Of course, you'll blame Microsoft, so you'll be off the hook, and they'll be mad at us. But you get my point, right? The end customer is unhappy. So you need to make sure you're doing this. And partner up with one of the CPLSs in your area. See if you can't get some sort of deal going on training classes. Maybe if you're going to sell a Server 2003 solution or a MOM solution or an SMS solution or a BizTalk solution, include a week of class. Include some great e-learning that's available. If you're not doing it, you're not setting yourself up for future success. Differentiate yourself now so that way in the future it makes it easier for you to sell. All right, so wrapping up. The dreaded call to action. You always have to have call to actions. Work with your PAM, your BDM, or your MG. We all know what MG is, right? That's the Microsoft guru, baby. Microsoft guru, whoever it is. Take the time to understand some of the lesser known features of the current products. There are lots of features out there that are not being utilized. It is your opportunity to make money by understanding those things, understanding how they would affect your customers, and then get in there and use them. All right? Revisit existing customers for upsell service opportunities and start laying the groundwork. By getting in there now and showing them the advantages of some of these new technologies, some of these new features, it'll make it that much easier for you to sell the future products, make more money. All right? And that is all I have. If you have more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them next year. No, y'all can catch me after this. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you. Boom.